The empty horizon. Keep in mind that this is an empty horizon. There are no visible boats.
Empty.
Zoom in, we see two boats appear along what I call the wavefront edge, which is the blue line of last discernible water. We also can see, as we zoom in further, something I call the mirror line. It is a reflection that forms under the boats after they pass the wavefront edge. Two major structural
Oh,
landmarks
go
for
get
the
some.
ship are the top of the mast and also the top of the bridge, which could be considered the top of the body of the boat. It is clearly very large. The mast represents approximately one-third
That's what she said.
of the boat. Instruments and equipment attached to the mast structure create a visual line that divides the mast approximately in half. This interval therefore represents approximately one-sixth of the water. As our target ship passes behind another boat, we can see that it is not going slowly. It is doing something that mariners call making a land against the other boat in a noticeable fashion. We can also note that although the wavefront line is the same, it's consistent for our point of view, the mirror lines are different and unique to each object that is being reflected. The next time that this ship passes against other boats, we have a demonstration of the foreground, midground, and background effect. None of these boats is particularly close to one another in real space, but they look as if they are based on composition. May I also note again that this
Hey, how come I don't hear anything? Where'd you go, dude?
is not a slow moving boat. It is traveling at significant speed over water. The background sailboat demonstrates for us an additional factor, the low-lying mist layer that sits over the water and acts as a distorting lens. Both effects are very well illustrated by this next motorboat, seen here entering on the left. The variations in density of the suspended water create visual distortions not unlike that of antique glass. The distortion is most observable in real time rather than when it is paused. The motorboat arriving from the right illustrates for us that it has its own mirror line that is distinct from the one of our main boat in the background. As the large ship continues to move away from us, more and more of it is falling inside the band of mist. Nonetheless, the observable structure proportions remain the same, with the mast representing one-third and the body of the boat two-thirds of the space above the mirror line. As the ship proceeds further into the distance, we find this continues to be true even as the distortion line rises to the point where it starts to affect the mast itself
Oh,
about here.
Brian, Can you hear me?
The ship continues to move away from us, getting smaller in the distance. The amount of the ship
Yes, I can.
inside
Okay.
the
I
distortion
wasn't on stage, dude.
continues
I
to
don't
rise.
know why. I thought I was.
As
You
the
thought this was about
distortion
space?
increases
Okay.
with distance,
Yeah.
the white
space.
inflatable tender sitting on the deck becomes
I just want to apologize. I wasn't on stage and I was talking and nobody could hear me. I'm back on stage. I hope you guys aren't disappointed. But what do you think so far, Ryan? You like this little video? He's on mute. Okay. I like it.
I'm
so
here.
far.
Give me a second. I just wasn't by the phone, and I've got something going down right now. So I'm sorry. I apologize. That that guy that came over last night and all that. He just drove by 2 or 3 times. So
nice.
yeah, I think he's looking for trouble. So I got to keep an eye on the house. So I'll be here, but I'm just saying I might not answer you right away. So don't get upset with me if I don't.
That's all right. I'll take a commercial break.
Well, no, don't do that. I'm just saying, if I don't answer you right away, don't get freaked out. It's not because I left. It's just I might be in the middle of something.
Okay, I got you. That's no problem. I'll put on a song for a second while you do that, and then we'll review this.
Well, I mean, nothing may not happen right away, but I'm saying it could happen.
Yeah, I know. I got an upgrade. I upgraded my. Yeah, I did. It's still YouTube, so I can actually just share straight video and not have to worry about it.
Oh, okay. I got you. Right on. Right on.
I'm gonna go.
I thought about doing that too, just to make it easier once I get my computer going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna hop over there. I'll put on a song, and it'll take like 15 minutes, and then we'll go back to the video. That work?
All right, that's fine with me.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Oh, guys, I'm going to play a little song while Ryan deals with the situation.
Oh, like I said, nothing's going on right now, but like I said, it's nothing serious, I'm sure, but I don't know why they're over here, but I haven't done nothing to them yet. All I've been doing is just, I got the license plate, I got the house number, so that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done anything to retaliate, you know
Nice.
what I'm saying? So I don't know why they're driving by.
I guess.
They do live right down the street, though. You know, dummies. Shouldn't where you work. I mean, you don't shit in your own neighborhood, man. Come on. If you were a thief, would you steal from people in your own neighborhood? I wouldn't.
No.
What if you run into them at the gas station or the store or something? You know, how embarrassed are you going to be?
Yeah.
And in trouble.
All right, let's do this. How about a conspiracy guru song?
Voices.
Are you hearing voices? Nah. Here, I'll pause this right quick. I'll save the video. Let's go ahead and play it.
I tried to have a conversation with a man about radiation, the hazardous biological effects. Very harmful. Yes, I tried to show him all the proofs. His ignorance was through the roof. The most deluded man I'd ever met. Totally programmed. I showed him how the frequencies disorient and kill the bees. I showed him how the birds drop out the sky. There's one. I showed him all the many trees dying as they lose their leaves. And I showed him the antenna right nearby. It's right there. And I showed him all the many places with judges and the legal cases, people fighting this technology. Look at that. And I showed him from my science buddies 1,000 scientific studies, but he just laughed. And that's when I could see that no amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. No amount of showing you 100 or 1,000 proofs will ever get your blinded eyes to see. Oh, no amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. How quickly with your condemnation without real investigation sounds like ignorance to me. I showed him doctors speak of public hearings, protesters on the streets are jeering. They've done their research, they know the fact. Critical thinkers, they see. The WHO will tell you that. It's on the website. I showed him all the scientists that study this, and they've all been appalled at what they've found. I'm not surprised. They petitioned the United Nations trying to stop this radiation. They know it's bad and they don't want it around. Listen to science. Technology destroying cells, affecting memory as well. Destroying your immune system, it's true. Look at that. Interfering frequencies are a threat to the health of humanity. Just research a little and you'll find proof. You've got the internet. This new level of radiation of wireless communication has had no safety tests, and that's the truth. Look it up. Yes, I told him to remember that, because that's another damning fact. Will you listen when it comes to a street near you? Probably not. No amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. No amount of showing you 100 or 1,000 proofs will ever get your blinded eyes to see. Oh, no amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. How quickly with your condemnation without real investigation sounds like ignorance to me. Well, how about this observation? You know this new 5th generation is using millimeter frequencies. Very tiny. And according to the military guys, these sound waves can be weaponized, but you think it's conspiracy theory. This is frustrating. Then let me share this information. The military uses this radiation as a weapon to diffuse an angry crowd. Look at that. They blast out 95 gigahertz. It fries the people and they disperse. He looked at me and then he laughed out loud. This is painful. And you're gonna need a funeral hearse when you get to 60 gigahertz, because that will really take your breath away. Quite literally. Absorbing oxygen molecules, and they install this stuff near schools. Come on, kids, let's go outside and play. No amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. No amount of showing you 100 or 1,000 proofs will ever get your blinded eyes to see. Oh, no amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. How quickly with your condemnation without real investigation sounds like ignorance. My God, the cognitive dissonance! I am the god of hellfire! I am the god of hellfire, and I bring it. Burn! Burn, you beauties! I am the god of hellfire, and I bring it. Sorry about that.
Fifth generation technology promises faster download speeds and conveniences that most of us have never dreamed of, but will also be blanketed with a new type of radiation called millimeter waves. Health experts are warning about the rising risks with a 5G rollout.
Scientists from 42 countries are now warning their governments about the emerging health problems associated with wireless radiation.
The most prevalent symptoms include headache, fatigue, decreased ability to concentrate, tinnitus, irritability, and insomnia. Impacts on the heart and the nervous system are also of great concern. We predict that the number of people who develop the symptoms I just mentioned will rise in the places where 5G is first installed.
Dr. Magda Havas is internationally recognized for her research on the biological effects of electromagnetic pollution.
At lower frequencies, scientists are predicting damage to eyes, loss of insect populations which are already declining, antibiotic resistance in bacteria, and physiological effects on the nervous system and on the immune system.
Radiation from radio frequencies is classed in the same category of carcinogens as lead. One advisor to the World Health Organization said there's enough evidence that if they were to re-evaluate radio frequency radiation,
it would be placed in class 1, i.e. a human carcinogen.
Wow. That's nice, isn't it? Wow. Oh, that was fun. What do you think? Are you all right over there? Ryan? Be very quiet. Okay. I'm going to find another video. We'll play it here in a second. While you deal with that. I don't want to play that twice. I'll play this guy right here. And this is going to be Nathan Oakley in one of his debates on Earth Awakenings. It was a pretty good little debate from what I remember. Turn that down a little bit. He's up a little loud. I'm trying to remember this one.
Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video.
Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Nathan Oakley, I suggest you do.
The discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching.
He's quite the educational guy.
Below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and X. And we are joined by Refracted Curvature, Neil, the Adam Meakin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Hello, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
I get a kick out of them. Sorry, guys.
Recovering from yesterday, but everybody's good.
Well,
let's get it on.
Yesterday spilled into today because we're in the same server again. So over the weekend, having missed going into a different server on Friday of last week because I was very, very ill, we kind of discussed it over the weekend and said, why don't we do several days stint in one specific server, rather than dropping in, having a bit of an argy-bargy, then discussing it on our own server. No, let's just go straight back in the following day, until we wear out our welcome, which hopefully won't happen. But yeah, the idea being that rather than leaving things just tail end of a good discussion, we can reflect on it with the people we've been discussing it. And then if it needs discussing again, it will be. That's the idea. So we're in the same server as we were yesterday. If you tuned in yesterday and you really enjoyed the show, please share the show. I've done the call to action already in the introduction, but yeah, smash that share button. Now, we will do some housekeeping in the meantime. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Which one?
Free Palestine says, northbound Equinox Celebration Beach House Seal Beach CA 12 noon till meet other flat earthers.
Whoa.
Okay. Thank you for the super chat. Free Palestine.
I'm trying to get the link for you guys.
I don't think it really matters which gravity. They're all in relation to down, which is with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. It's not a sphere.
Yeah, you're going to need the equatorial plane. The equatorial plane just extends infinitely outwards, right? That's how it's described, though. Extended outwards infinitely. But in terms of the actual circle that's derived from the measurement, it's a measurement from Polaris. What's the extended equatorial plane going to be called? Why extend out a minimum elevation angle? Do you know?
It's just a plane of reference. Mathematically, it's how you'd have to describe it as an infinite distance, mathematically.
Well, but pictorially, they show it like, maybe it's because the globe's incorporated and they've got the globe as the protractor extending to the point of the equatorial Polaris minimum. But then they extend out that flat surface that's cutting or dissecting through Earth in hell. That bit's extended out as the plane of reference, as you've just described it. But it's labeled extended equatorial plane. Unless I'm very much mistaken.
Yeah, the equatorial plane runs all the way to the celestial sphere. It's their problem where they have a flat plane that extends to the horizon, but they don't want to consider it a flat plane, so they have to go through all these hoops to convert a flat plane vector that they're measuring from, and use all sorts of transformative mathematics to do that. It has nothing to do with measurement, though.
Okay. What about any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Negative.
When it comes to science. Oh, group of people.
I'm here.
Nobody's saying anything.
Oh, that's good.
Are you talking about our server, Nathan?
Yeah.
Are you talking
I'll
about
ask
me?
you, SE. For example,
What we think of science?
Well, I'm thinking, do you know the origins of why, for example, that housekeeping question gets asked when we ask for any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? Do you know why that has its origins in the housekeeping questions? You don't have to, I'm not expecting you to know.
I don't know the origins, no. Go ahead, tell us.
It's when we first got here, we were told that the whole body of science proves we're on a sphere.
Really? Right. Rumpus. Yeah.
Not just Rumpus. You know, if you watch mainstream globe,
Well, he was the main
proponents-
one, yeah.
Well, Rumpus is one, but any mainstream globe proponent will profess to the notion that they've got scientific validity for their belief in a sphere Earth. Doesn't so much happen around us because we asked that housekeeping question.
That makes sense. I remember that. Yep. We have the whole body of science on our side. Yep. That was told to me on many occasions.
Right. But it's a category error.
Right. Now they say science don't prove anything.
But when they asserted it to prove the globe, it was a category error. So to assert that the globe is a concrete noun, or flat earth for that matter, has anything to do with science is a category error because science deals with cause and effect relationships. The globe earth isn't a cause and effect relationship. It's a category error to say that science proves you're on a globe. So we started asking for scientific evidence, specifically with gravity, because that's the most prevalent when they say that they've got scientific validity for it. They even start to offer up what they call experiments.
What, like Cavendish?
Exactly. Not an experiment. Parlor trick.
At best, they only have an observation.
Even at that.
Observation.
You say it best.
They have observations.
What's
They have
the
observations.
observation
They
for
have the
gravity then?
Stars moving in the sky.
It's not gravity. So when we're talking about science, step one is to observe the natural phenomena that you're going to study.
So stars moving in the sky wouldn't count for that?
That would be a phenomena. But then what you're gonna do is put that phenomena through the method to see if you can figure out the cause of it. So dependent variable becomes star movement, perfectly legitimate, naturally occurring phenomena. But then you're trying to find the cause of that dependent variable or observed natural phenomena. So your hypothesis construction will be an if statement, followed by a presumed cause that you have, followed by star movement. So if X, then star movement. Sorry, maybe I'm missing something. That's not gravity, is it?
Right.
Luck with that.
Huh.
So when you say at best they've got a phenomena to observe or something observed, no, they have not. Not when it comes to gravity. There is no naturally observed phenomena. They have to conjure one. And when they conjure one, they conjure the 109-year out-of-date notion that mass attracts mass in the form of a torsion bar twisting quasi-experiment. Actually, parlor trick. They conjure an effect. But there is no naturally observing effect to observe. Unless you
give me a question.
Go ahead.
If you think that there is no natural observed phenomenon in order to derive the hypothesis of gravity, then how do you think gravity was invented in the first place? That concept, like what was the basis which caused Newton to hypothesize that can be the case? Because according to you, it wouldn't make any sense. He would have to just make it randomly up.
It doesn't make any sense.
I know this one.
And Newton didn't want anything to do with it.
But you tell me, what did Newton observe then? That's giving credence to something that's been already debunked within our own rhetoric, even if you're a heliocentrist. The notion that mass attracts mass, that's Newton's law of gravity, was superseded 109 years ago. So no matter what you say from this point forward, you can't claim that you've got validity for something that's been overturned.
It hasn't been overturned.
So what's the phenomena? But what's the phenomena?
The phenomenon is an acceleration on objects on the Earth of 9.81 meters per second squared towards the downwards direction.
Well, like clouds?
We don't observe that.
So like clouds?
No.
So no, then. So that wouldn't be the not naturally occurring phenomena because it's immediately defied when I say clouds. So when you say the phenomena of things falling, I'm replying to you.
Okay.
Yeah, that means shut your mic. I heard your claim. Yeah? The downward acceleration 9 point. What part of shut your mic when I talk don't you understand? Second attempt. Now the third attempt that he's interrupting. Do you not like me refuting your garbage that you feel the need to chant through the top of me while I refute it? That's not going to stop me refuting your garbage. No.
Get on with it, Nathan.
What about you stopping?
And now it's the White Knights. This is the fifth attempt, and now we've got White Knights
Hey,
and the
Nathan.
guy still interrupting me off mute. No, you are just wrong. Now, for the mods who tell me that I'm going to get insultory towards these people, the White Knight and the guy who can't go on mute, he's still not on mute. He's just poised to interrupt. There's his light flashing.
Hey, Nathan, how are you doing this evening? I didn't see you come in. I'm sorry. I'm a little busy back behind this computer, you might say.
Just go on mute while I refute your garbage.
Get on with it, Nathan. Nathan.
Who's that?
Sorry.
Who's
Go
that?
ahead. Eli, good morning.
That was Eli messing around. That was good, Eli.
I don't need it, Eli. It's not funny. We're now further and further away from me refuting the guy's garbage that all things go to the ground at 9.8 meters per second. They don't. You only got to look up at the clouds or observe gas behavior to know that that is not the case. Yeah, mass doesn't attract mass. Not all things are moving to the center of a sphere Earth that you've assumed after measuring it flat. That's Earth. For you to infer that you've got radial values in sphere Earths and gravity and out-of-date notions of mass attracting mass and things all moving towards the center of the mass of Earth because it's a giant mass. What about clouds? What about gas behavior? It all moves. Sixth attempt. Jesus wept. Whoever is doing that, shut your mouth.
Boy.
So it's this guy.
All right,
This,
guys. The next guy that interrupts is getting muted.
the quiet
Let's have a
riot. He's
civil
done it 4 times. Yeah. Why aren't you watching the guys flashing and just
Evening, PJ. How are we doing today?
server muting them? 6 attempts. 6 attempts. Any more White Knights? Are you all terrified of your stupid garbage notion of gravity being absolutely ripped to shreds by me, a flat earther, that it needs 6 attempts and several interjections from White Knights telling me to get on with it? What, get on with destroying your religion at its base and pointing out that gravity itself, the notion that all things go to the ground at 9.8 meters per second, requires a flat earth to describe that downward bias. Down with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. So you need a flat earth to describe the down that doesn't happen. It's defined by gas behavior. So no, there's no need to explain a phenomena that isn't occurring. Not all things move towards the ground. Anything else to prove your science for gravity?
Are you done now?
Maybe you could acknowledge me. You said all things going to the ground, 9.8 meters per second. I give you gas behavior. That is not the case and hasn't been the case. It's been acknowledged even within heliocentrism. For 109 years, you're just wrong and ignorant. Ignorant that it's been superseded 109 years ago and ignorant of gas behavior. There's Omnivore. There's Omnivore clicking his mic through the top of me. Just kick him out. Did it all day yesterday. 7 attempts. Omnivore's just interrupted. I've not had one single clean sweep of a response to a guy that says we've got science for gravity. No, we don't. Gas behavior defies it.
I just want to make sure that you're already done so you don't accuse me of interrupting you again. Can I respond now? Okay,
Yes, please respond. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I've never claimed that all objects do that. I simply said that objects. It doesn't mean that in every single condition, every single object have to experience that, because other factors and variables come also into play. But because if you manipulate some other variable, and it can cause, for example, some forces that counter that acceleration to some extent, doesn't invalidate the observation that in other environment, this observation will occur. Because if I have some object right here in my room, I can stop holding it in the middle of the air. I will see it accelerate approximately at that speed. And I don't have to worry about some clothes outside of my room, because this is completely irrelevant to my observation. I don't have to generalize that observation to every single object. I can observe that in even one with even one example, and I already can have a phenomenon that I can later research to a greater extent, for example, by performing some experiments on it.
What phenomena?
The things falling down.
So I've just covered this.
Yes, your rebuttal to this phenomenon was pointing out at other examples of things not doing that. This condition would be the relative density of the clouds in relation to the air, and by pointing out that in other examples this doesn't happen, that must.
Sorry, I'm stopping for a second. Hey, Ryan, how are you doing over there? How's your situation going? I just want to check right quick. Everything good? Ryan. I know you're away from the phone. I'm going to go ahead and keep playing this debate, and I'm going to actually do what I wanted to do earlier, guys, if that's all right. And if you have anything you want to send my way, the link is at the top. If anybody wants to join the panel, you can come on in and we can review these things together. Ryan's a little busy right now, and I'm trying to keep these 3 tabs going, but I'll get better at it as time goes by.
Mean that when it does happen, that phenomenon supposedly isn't observed. Like if something other was supposed to cancel out the fact that I still observe what I observe, which doesn't make any logical sense.
You've told me what you observe when describing the universal law of gravitation. It isn't a law. It doesn't always occur. What part of this aren't you getting?
It is a law, but as I
it's a
already
law
said, the
that
reality...
things go to the ground at 9.8 meters per second. No, they don't. The clouds and gas don't do that.
It's a law that they undergo constant acceleration of that rate, but because other forces also exist in nature.
No, they don't.
How they don't?
Do you know what a law means? What does law mean?
Yes, a law.
What's law of nature mean? What does that mean? If I say it's a law of nature, what's it mean?
It's some kind of relationship that universally occurs.
Universally occurs. So do things universally go down at 9.8 meters per second? No, they don't. Ergo, not a universal law of gravitation because it's not universally occurring. That's the 3rd time. You're just wrong.
Still experience. They still experience.
What, things going down?
But
no, we don't. It's not universal. Gas behavior. I am so sick of this. Wall.
The law
I say, no, it's not universal. He starts chanting through me. Yeah, I've heard your repetition of it 4 times. Now I've got something to add beyond yet another 5th repetition of the same things. That, well, in certain circumstances, it's a universal frigging law. No, not in certain circumstances. Do you not understand the word universal? Clearly not. Now, I'm sick of talking to you. It's like communicating with a brick wall. Universal means always. Universally. Not under certain circumstances, I can still have my religious belief that all things move towards the center of a sphere Earth. They don't. It's defined by gas behavior. Not universal. Therefore, not a law. And not only not a law, hasn't been accepted as a law within heliocentrism for 109 years. You're just ignorant.
Okay, so the law of gravitation, it doesn't predict that all of the objects would have...
Laws don't predict ever. You're just talking stupidness now. I'm sick of it. Laws don't predict. They describe. You don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. No, laws don't predict. They're not predictive tools. That's science. Science makes predictions. They're called hypotheses. Laws describe. You don't know what they are. Stop talking. You've exposed your
Laws are a
ignorances.
tool of science.
Stop! You're obviously
I will
ignorant of
not
this stuff,
stop
but you still
talking
think you
because
need
you're
to
not
hold
the
the
owner
mic,
of
and
the
obviously
podcast.
the mods still feel it's justified for the person demonstrated wrong 5 times with his ignorance of what laws actually are. Universally
What's these little-
occurring descriptions.
Oh, there you are.
They're not predictions.
Lights.
That's a hypothesis. You're in a category error. Now stop talking.
Yeah, stop
Meanwhile, there is no scientific evidence for gravity because there's no observed phenomenon.
I just can't get enough of Nathan's
Current
voice. I'm telling you.
rhetoric for gravity describes a pseudo geometry, a bent pseudo fourth dimensional time component. That's what gravity currently is. Sod all to do with forces. I quote George Musa, gravity's not a force. End quote. George Musa. What about Professor Brian Cox? Quote, there isn't really a force of gravity at all. End quote. You want to sit here jabbering me all day about how there's a force pulling things down? Ignorant, out of date, sick of it. Brick wall communication. Doesn't accept a single sodding word I say to him. Doesn't matter if I quote Cox to him all day, telling him from his pseudoscience rhetoric on his throne of heliocentrism that it's not a bloody force. He'll be telling me there's a force pulling things down. Just doesn't know the rhetoric of his own.
I thought it was
bloody
called
religion.
rhetoric, not rhetoric. Who's rhetoric?
Tell me that these laws make predictions?
Laws?
What do you say, Ryan?
Nothing. I'm just teasing.
Laws?
I'm giving
I know.
giving Nathan Oakley a hard time. That's all.
Hey, I was just wondering, how's your little situation over there, sir? Are you
Oh,
good?
it's all fine. I guess they just drove by. I don't know. My buddy's the one that told me about it. I don't know. I wasn't paying much attention, but I was just looking out. That's all. So I don't know what they're doing. You know, I don't know what these guys are up to, or whether they're going to come back and try to rob me while I'm not out here or something. You know, I'm just trying to be cautious. That's all.
That makes sense.
Not good.
Don't tell you
Not good.
like,
That kind of thing. We good? No, it's good. Go.
All right.
But I'm good. Thanks.
That's the
for asking.
problem, though, Nathan. We
problem.
know their religion better than they do.
Yeah, and all the descriptions of
I love the
Newtonian
snow globe, though.
mechanics
That's one of
come
his
from
best.
an inertial plane,
Yeah.
which they don't claim the Earth is an inertial plane. So go get your own religion.
Oh,
Yeah.
dear.
yeah, and the down. This was definitely not going to be acknowledged or addressed in any way by my opponent, rinsing and repeating the same statement 5 times. The down requires a flat Earth. What down? A vector in the downward with respect to a horizontal plane. Yeah, you'll need a horizontal plane of reference to describe down in gravity.
Hey, are you done? Okay. So it turns out that despite what you said, more than one force can act on an object at a time. And in fact, we do see gravity acting on objects.
I want to see the
including
gravity, the
gases,
imaginary
and
gravity.
yes, even clouds. You've
Yeah,
heard of
please,
rain,
show us.
maybe? So we see
What is that?
the downward bias, which is gravity.
What is what?
Is just one
Gravity.
force that is acting on a bunch
Yeah,
of other things.
Gravity.
Namely, probably in the
Go figure.
cases you're thinking of, buoyancy.
I can't put my finger on it.
Or
Doesn't
Gravity's
know the
not a
difference
force.
between liquid and gas.
But yeah,
I
so
absolutely do.
I just
On
can't
the
put my
board.
finger on it.
quote
Nathan.
Professor
Quote.
Brian Cox.
Quote.
Who
Who?
names
Brian
himself
Cox.
omnivore? Who
Brian
calls-
Cox.
Isn't that kind of a pussy move, though? Think about it. And I'll call myself omnivore. I'll go either way.
Are you saying you're
be a
better than
car-
them?
No,
I'm
not
kidding.
at all. No, but they are brilliant, bright folks over there in the political server.
I know. I like to tease. You know that.
I know.
I hope they all get a joke. So
Yeah, I don't think they will. But I love
well.
Eli's. What is it? Avatar right here. You see it?
everybody should be
I
able to
love
take a joke.
Yeah, they should, but I don't think everybody takes a joke. People take it a little too serious because I mean you can't change the world. You can try. Good luck. All right. I have to go
I
back to
shake
it.
my fists at him too, I guess, but I don't know what that good that'll do
There
either.
isn't really a force of gravity at all. End quote. Professor Brian Cox. Yeah, he's an
So
astrophysicist.
You're talking about
He's an
so you're-
astrophysicist. Did you want to take it up with Cox that the force that you say, the 109-year out of date of force that's been
We finally
superseded
got
by
Brian Cox to
Einstein
agree with us.
and
And we're not
pseudo-Riemannian
letting you,
geometry,
we're not letting you down.
when Cox describes it not
Well,
being a force,
it's rising up
you
now.
feel that Professor
Sometimes I
Brian
think he
Cox,
just likes to say the
astrophysicist
word
who
Cox.
understands
I really do.
pseudo-Riemannian forces,
Because
time
he
bending,
sharpens it when he
and the
says it. He says
geometry of
Cox.
that fourth dimension being a gravitational geodesic in space-time.
Like he likes to
You
emphasize
think
that.
that's a force, therefore Cox is wrong and I'm wrong. No,
See?
you're just
Cox.
wrong. No, you're wrong.
Gorgeous Cox.
I haven't finished. You don't need to chant through the top
when
of me
you're done.
correcting. You don't
no, I'm
need
sorry.
to
Did I
chant
chat over you?
just because you're wrong.
I'm sorry.
No, I will
I'm so
tell you
sorry.
that you are wrong with citations followed up with George Musa, editor, Scientific American. Gravity is not a force. End quote, George Musa. So when you tell me that I can observe the rain being a force and effect of gravity, you're just wrong.
I can.
I love these ways that's wrong. You know, he's a pop, though. He's got kids.
Which way did that rain go first, anyway?
Down.
It went
Yeah.
up.
Which way did that rain go first anyway?
It evaporated from the ground level.
I got a
Into
rain
gas
catcher.
and went up and formed the clouds. In the
I got a dream catcher.
Did you ever catch it?
No. It's supposed to be
No?
downward, Nathan. What are you talking about up? What's this up you speak?
When I say it goes up towards the clouds that you can only tilt your head up to observe, you're saying no, that's actually a downward bias in the
I'm
9.8
pretty sure
meters per second,
SE
the second downward
Montreal
category.
steps in in
No,
a second.
definitely not.
Here, let's skip ahead a little bit. Let's see if I can find it. That's what the part I want to get to with this thing. I just want to listen to it again.
Okay. I'm down.
You down?
I'm up. No, I'm down.
No, I thought you were catching dreams. Catching those dreams. Yeah, I'm catching dreams with a rain catcher.
Dream catcher, that's on the roof. See, there's one up there. It's called a gutter. That's a rain catcher.
I have a little rain catcher out front. I water my plants with. So.
Oh, right on. I know what you mean. I was just giving you a hard time.
I know.
I always do.
And I'm playing along with it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You want me to stop? I can.
No, it's all right. I don't see SE out Montreal in this one. Let's go back to where we were. All right, let's try this. All right.
Anything
I know he's here
else
somewhere.
to prove your science for gravity?
Are you done now?
Maybe you could acknowledge me. You said all things going to the ground, 9.8 meters per second. I give you
Go back
gas
to where we
behavior.
were.
That is
It's allowed that they undergo constant acceleration of that rate, but because other forces also
they
exist in
don't.
nature.
No, they don't.
How they don't?
Do you know what a law means? What does law mean?
Yes, a law.
What's
You're
the
back to
law?
law
What's
against-
law of nature mean? What does that mean? If I say it's a law of nature, what does
think
it
it was
mean?
a little further
Let's see
on.
at all. End quote. You want to sit here jabbering me all day about how there's a force pulling things down? Ignorant, out of date, sick of it. Brick wall communication. Doesn't accept a single sodding word I say to him. Doesn't matter if I quote Cox to him all day, telling him from his pseudoscience rhetoric on his throne of heliocentrism that it's not a bloody force. He'll be telling me there's a force pulling things down. Just doesn't know the rhetoric of his own bloody religion. Still prepared to argue me with it. Tell me that these laws make predictions. No, clearly ignorant. Clearly has no right on the mic.
That's the problem, Nathan. We know their religion better than they do.
Yeah, and all the descriptions of Newtonian mechanics come from an inertial plane, which they don't claim the Earth is an inertial plane. So go get your own religion.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and the down, this was definitely not going to be acknowledged or addressed in any way by my opponent rinsing and repeating the same statement 5 times. The down requires a flat Earth. What down? A vector in the downward with respect to a horizontal plane. Yeah, you'll need a horizontal plane of reference to describe down in gravity.
Hey, are you done?
Yes.
Okay. So it turns out that despite what you said, more than one force can act on an object at a time. And in fact, we do see gravity acting on objects, including gases, and yes, even clouds. You've heard of rain, maybe? So we see the downward bias, which is gravity, is just one force that is acting on a.
You're saying no, that's actually a downward bias in the 9.8 meters per second
I didn't go
downward
far enough,
category.
man.
No, definitely not.
What?
That's not how gas behaves.
I didn't go far enough.
There is no law
Now,
of gravity pulling things
hold
down.
on, I want to try something right
Doesn't
quick.
always
Since you're here. Can you come in the studio and see if you can share? Since you're a moderator now, or do you don't think you can do that without?
You're talking to me, right? You're talking to PJ.
Yeah, you. No, you're the only one in the.
Yeah, I know, but like what? Where do I click?
See where it says present?
No, doesn't say present. It doesn't. None of that. It must. It must be that my. No, I don't think it works. But I can. I don't know if I can download it onto my phone. Can I?
I don't know. I can't see your phone from where I'm at.
No, I mean I don't know if I can
don't know.
download StreamYard to my phone and make it work. But I'll try it. I can try it. I mean, it doesn't bother me to do it. I just never tried it. I didn't think I could do that or not. Whatever.
Can you go to like their website?
Yeah, there's a thing that whenever I leave the stream, it always gives me an option to go and sign up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go out and try it.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll keep playing this.
It was superseded 109 years ago. Currently, gravity's a bent geodesic in a fourth dimension geometry invented by Einstein. And it is not a force, end quote, George Musa. But yeah, I've got two numpties telling me how it's a force. They're just wrong. Omnivores had his open mic disturb the entire previous conversation with total disrespect for everyone who wants to listen to this. Yeah? And while I was telling him how wrong he was, he decided to chant through the top of me. Doesn't know where his local mute button is, but feels he's got the right to tell me that gravity is a force when it hasn't been for 109 years.
Can I respond to any of that now?
Can you go on mute when you're not talking so that we don't have to server mute you?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Excellent.
So I don't ever really know when you're finished. It seems like you just stop and start. But anyway, so first off, I agree that gravity is not a force in the way that you're trying to make it. It's not. It is a inertial force, or you can call it a fictitious force. Which term you want. However, it's very, very real. The downward acceleration is 100% real, and it does affect gas. You don't have to like it.
How does that happen?
I put a link in the chat to the barometric formula, which shows how the force that is generated by gravity is affects gas, and we see that in the pressure gradient. It's not because of temperature, it's not because of where gas is created, it's because of gravity. That's how it works. It has G in the formula, and you can go look at it. You are simply wrong.
Go see Rob for the formula.
Name a gas that's falling down. Name a single gas that isn't produced at ground level and makes its way up. Go.
Air, oxygen.
So gas, you think oxygen is poured in from the clouds, do you? Wrong.
Here's how you know.
No, that was wrong. Do you want to try again? That was wrong. I asked.
Well,
excuse me. You were wrong.
You're
Now I'll
interrupting me.
reiterate my question without constant, incessant interruption from the man who was wrong. I asked if you could name a gas that's ground level and made its way up. You can only go up from ground level. And you said oxygen. No, oxygen's not produced in magical oxygen factories in the sky and poured down with G. Go boom, boom. So give me a different gas that comes down as opposed to every single gas ever, which is produced at ground level and makes its way up. Defying your garbage that you say because you've.
Well, sir, did you figure that out?
Okay, so I clicked on it and I signed up and I clicked on my email and my Google account and it said I can. And then that screen that you're talking about popped up, the tests thing and all that. But then when I try to come in here, it just closes it down. I don't understand how to use it at the same time.
That's weird.
Yeah. I don't know how it works. I can probably go look and find out how it works. Maybe there's a way I can do it on my phone, but I might have to get my computer out.
Yeah, you
get my wife. or get my wife's computer out. It's not that big a deal. It's just a matter of me going and getting it and setting it up.
Well, if you haven't got it set up now, we're already into the stream, and PJ is going to be on soon. So,
Yeah, of course. No biggie. I'm just saying, like in the future, I can get it. Yeah, I'll get it set up. I'll get my wife working on it, or I'll get somebody working on it.
get the wife work, whack that whip, man. Come on.
Well, she's usually the one that does this computer because like I said, I was using the computer for a while. Then my daughter started using it for school, and she put a whole bunch of crap on there I want to get rid of, and then only she knows how to do that. I'm not very good with that. So
you never good with computers?
No, it's not that. It's just they changed them so much in the last few years that it's kind of like dumbfounded me a little bit. That's all.
It's not too bad. I'm getting back into the hang of it, if you can tell, a little bit. I'm running 3 tabs at once, so I'm hopping in between them and trying to keep a conversation going at the same time. It's tougher than it thinks.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna say.
And I really do appreciate everybody tuning in to watch this crap.
Yeah, even though it's unbearable. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm just kidding. Dude, it's Nathan Oakley. It's just what it is. It's the flat earth debate. And I don't think this is ever going to go away, as far as I can tell. It's an evergreen subject, as I've heard.
Yeah. You're right. You might have a point there.
Yeah. I'll round it off with this, and then I'll play a song. And then we'll go over and watch PJ for a while. I'll even put my PJs on for PJ. I'm telling you.
I had to jump up on the stump over there.
You jump up on the stump.
Over there with the rails.
All right, guys, I'm going to play.
Dave just got hurt.
Cited it. It's
Oh, no.
correct. In spite of you so far
Simon,
telling me that oxygen's produced in the sky and poured downwards.
How old is he again?
It isn't. No.
He's 3 months older than me.
Produced at ground level, and they all
Okay, a month
go
older.
up without exception.
Are you done?
What did absolutely destroying
No, I'm
gravity?
absolutely
You
not
think
done.
These gases going down, go boom,
Are you
boom,
gonna
go
go again?
splash, splash when they're all produced at ground level and go up. Yeah, I'm done annihilating your stupid nonsense of gravity. Very much done. Maybe are you done interrupting me while I answer your question? Maybe you weren't done after I was still in the middle of the same sentence. You weren't done interrupting the middle of that sentence, were you? Yeah, because I've annihilated your stupid notions of gravity. Because you think gas go down, go boom, boom.
I'm trying to share the link, Ryan, and I can't get this.
Right. Go ahead.
Yeah,
What?
it won't click. I can't put it in and post it in for the Nathan's feed. Can you grab it, put it in the chat?
Did you send it to me, or yeah, I can do
I
it.
have it. Yeah.
Can you text it to me or whatever? Are you able to do that while you're doing all the other crap?
Yeah, dude, I can. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Nathan asked me to do that.
If you do, then yes, I will. Just make sure you get it right so that I don't screw it up when I paste it.
I got you.
All right. Yeah, I can handle it.
All right, guys. Nathan wanted me to share tabs whenever I share any of
Oh
his.
yeah, of course. Yeah, I absolutely agree. So I'll go over and look. Hang on, let me go. I'm waiting for the text message.
Right now.
Waiting.
I'm texting it to you. Hold on.
Swimming. Waiting.
Dang it. There you are. I found you. I got you where I want you. I'm crushing your head. There you go. You got it? There you go. And back to it.
Boom, because you can Google search. Meanwhile, gases are produced at ground level and go up, defying gravity as a downward bias at 9.8 meters per second.
All right. So, first off, heavier than air gases absolutely go down. You can pour CO2 or sulfur hexafluoride out of a glass like a liquid, and it will go down. This is 100% because of the difference in buoyancy that is created by the force of gravity.
All gases. Oh, I thought you were done.
The reason you know that gravity is at work is because you can use a barometer You can use one on your phone if you have one in your house, in the very house where you're living, or out under the open sky. You can see that as you go lower, the atmospheric pressure, the barometric pressure, as described by the barometric formula, which I posted into the chat, which I doubt you can see or would look at, but you can go Google it if you don't know what the barometric formula is. That is because gravity creates a pressure gradient where there is more gas at ground level at lower altitudes than at higher level, and this applies to, for example, oxygen.
Yeah, Oliver, but
You're
his question was.
Bear with me. Just 1 second. I'm sorry.
What gas was produced in the air and made its way down? And you said oxygen.
Shout out to OBE Line, says Nathan, trashing Globers never gets old. Thank you for the super chat.
So, Book FN. The first off, oxygen isn't produced per se. It is exchanged, typically at ground level, not necessarily. It's exchanged in plants at a variety of different altitudes. So, not at what we would consider sea level, because you can have trees on top of a mountain that
Okay,
are
thank you. That was the
exchanging
answer I
oxygen all
was
the time.
looking for. That's
But
wonderful.
One second.
I got
Nathan,
my
I'm not
answer.
quite
Can I move
finished.
on?
I'm not. No.
No, I'm not allowed to move on now. You've conceded my question. So the gas. So I'm not allowed to move
You're
on.
interrupting me, Nathan. You're interrupting me. Nathan, you're interrupting me.
Yeah, I was leading the conversation till he subverted it.
So it
And now
turns
he's
out-
decided he's going to lead the conversation that I'm asking questions about. I see.
It turns out that pressure
Perfectly reasonable.
equalizes, Nathan, at the speed of sound, something that I guess you didn't know. So if what you were saying was true, we would have an updraft moving at roughly the speed of sound from where all of this oxygen is being created, which it's not being, into the sky, and it would equalize all over the world, which in fact, 100% we don't see. So your conception of gas, of atmosphere, is 100% wrong, but that's because you don't know what the
Okay,
barometric
I don't need the
formula
ad hom
is,
or
and
insult.
don't
Thank you.
know
I don't need the ad
how.
hom or insult. I heard your straw man argument. I can address your straw man when
Just
you're done
telling you
jabbering.
you're
Are you
wrong.
done
That's not
jabbering?
an insult.
You
It's
done
not an
jabbering?
ad hom. And no,
You
I'm
done
not-
jabbering?
I'm not
No, he's
quite
just
done.
going to
I'm
put a
not quite
massive
done yet.
amount of jabbery air between
fact
me ever
that you
responding.
can't-
No, never going to get to respond. No, mods won't do anything about it. He's just going to talk incessantly. Monologuing. I thought monologuing wasn't allowed.
Well, he's interrupting me, SE. I guess.
Just wrap it up. Wrap it up.
There he is.
Let's not do this.
Nope, never going to get to respond.
So for the audience,
SE?
go look up barometric gas pressure. You'll see gas.
We already
laws
heard
that
this.
use gravity.
We already heard this.
You can go look it up.
We already heard it.
Explain why they don't work.
Sorry, no, maybe we're just going to get him monologuing the same thing 5 times.
That's again. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
And now he's server muted himself. No, hold on.
Can you say I'm going to go around in circles one more time without actually saying that I'm
now
going to
he's
go in circles
waffled
one
on
more
with
time?
his little monologue. He's not going to listen to my response. Well, given that he's server muted himself, let's just remove him from the call. So what he actually wanted to do was scattergun me, and then
He's
not
probably
listen
cursing
because
you
he's
at this
server
point.
deafened himself.
Nathan, I wouldn't take that personally. That's what he does. He listens, he says his point, and then as a person goes to rebut, he goes on. That's just his MO, buddy.
Runs like a chicken.
MO is, I talk, and no one will respond to what I've got to say. And when you're done responding, I won't listen to a word of it. But then I'll come off server deafen and just make the same claim again, having not listened to a single response. How is that a debate?
Hey, look, Coneheads.
You're absolutely
Yep.
right. We're going
Or witch's
He
hat.
shouldn't be part of the conversation.
sorry, Omni, you
If I
can't do
can't
that.
respond to him, why is he part of the conversation? It's not a conversation.
He's out. He's out.
It's a diatribe and
Nathan.
monologue at me.
I'm going to mute him. He's gone. So let's continue.
The audience needs to hear.
Oh, it's a straw man that he put to me. Well, what he's saying is, if gas expands upwards from ground level, then therefore we must have a massive amount of upward draft into the sky vacuum. Yeah, that's what we'd have if space was real, based on his claim, because gas is produced at ground level and does make its way up. It just stays here. That would be to say at some point it's got to have collided with something so it can come back down again. Because the only way gas changes its vector is if it collides with the walls of a container or another gas particle. Now, if there's just a sky vacuum above us and all gas is produced at ground level, then all of the gas, as he described, I'll agree. Yeah, if the sky was a vacuum, we'd have a massive updraft and we'd all be dead, choking away without any gas to breathe.
He just gave me a great idea for a vacuum company. Yeah, I'm starting it tomorrow.
Breathe. In fact, we'd have never developed gas pressure in the first place because the very first produced gas particle would vacate the ground, go up, and never return. We'd have never developed gas pressure. Meanwhile, we do have dynamic systems with gradiated pressure, not gravity pulling gas go down, go boom, boom.
I don't think
This is
that's
all
good.
produced at ground level and does all make
That's
its way
just
up.
allowed to.
But because the highest concentrations of the gases are where they're produced at ground level, that's shockingly where we have the highest production and therefore concentration of gas. It dissipates into a cyclical system that must be under containment for us to have pressurized gradiated systems to be breathing. Ergo, the sky vacuum is fake, and gravity, which is not a force and hasn't been for 109 years, has no bearing.
No, yes. And that's one of the best rebuttals I've heard him give right there to the argument.
I agree. It's a good one.
I think that's one of the best ones.
On this upward motion of the gas, because gravity's a downward bias at 9.8 meters per second squared, and gas isn't behaving like that. Now I'm done. Not that he listened to a single word of my response.
Yeah,
I have that evidence you asked for.
Oh, Brenda. Hold on.
Nobody asked for anything.
Hold on. Ryan's trying to get in.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
I have that evidence.
That evidence.
Nobody asked for any evidence. Second time.
Huh?
Even
Did you
within
stop
his own
talking?
paradigm, they are relinquishing the
Well,
claim
then shut up.
that gravity creates the gas pressure.
Don't be quiet. Shut up.
Go to Sabine Hosselfelder. She'll tell you she even corrected herself after someone else corrected her.
Sabine.
When she was saying the
Sabine.
gradient was created by a force
Sabine.
of gravity, she was corrected.
I
by
like her,
somebody
though, to be
who
honest.
was a knowledgeable person. She listened and she corrected herself on her own video.
Sabine.
Who's that?
Hossenfelder.
What they're
You know her?
right,
Oh.
is an
Hossenfelder?
open system.
Hossenfelder.
Right? What?
Cook.
Like, let's say gas in a canister in a factory. That's a closed static system.
Gas
What
in a
we live
canister.
in is a closed dynamic system. We have that's why we have weather. And
Can we
have
close?
gas cycles.
Close?
It's a closed dynamic system.
Yes,
Nobody's
it
wearing
is.
clothes.
What the straw man
You
is,
better wear
when
clothes
people try
You know what we need right now, Ryan? Let's take a guess.
for me to shut up.
We need Luca to come in and give us a rebuttal to Nathan's rebuttal.
Really? Do we?
Why not? I'll send him an email.
Is he banging on? No, you don't. All you gotta do is say his fucking name 3 times. You know
in your
that.
closed system, and they're talking about a closed static
Luca,
system. Well, as I said, which would be like a canister of gas. You could buy the hardware.
No,
store
you have to
or
say
in a
Luca
factory.
Mikado, Luca
Whereas
Mikado,
we have a
Luca
closed
Mikado.
dynamic system with cycles. There's no cycles in a canister of gas.
Hakuna Matata.
You know, you can heat it, and you will create a gradient.
He told me that's what his name was, or Macanato or something like that. But I'm not sure if that's really his name or what he just told me.
Temperature creator basically with the sun.
Wasn't he saying that on the show one day? That's where I got
So
it.
we have
from.
weather.
You wrote it on the
Like,
show.
Probably.
I did
Hold
a
on.
whole presentation on this several years ago, and none of our
Ah.
organizations have been able to address
Yeah,
it.
Ryan's
Because they
still
use
going. Or
official
Brian.
information of what creates it. Finish.
Meanwhile, the question that was on the table was scientific evidence of gravity, or any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics.
I have that.
Brenda's got it. She's
Oh,
got it. Give
what
it to
have
her.
you
Run with
Yeah.
it, Brenda.
Galileo's experiments down an inclined
go,
plane,
boy.
in which he rolled various objects
Yep.
down an inclined plane and
Far,
timed
far
them.
away.
And when he collated the data, he had evidence for a force called gravity.
How did he do that
That's
when
not an
gravity
hold
didn't
on.
turn up? That's
Hold
what's
on,
called gravity.
Brian.
Didn't turn
Hold
up
on,
until
Brian.
Isaac
Brian.
Newton.
It's not an experiment. What was the observed natural phenomena?
Balls rolling down an inclined plane.
So you're trying to establish the cause of balls rolling down planes. Then
He said his balls rolled down a
that's
what
an
plane?
experiment. If that's a naturally occurring phenomenon, that's your dependent variable. So
No, dude.
dependent
Poor
variable.
Brenda,
balls
no wonder
rolling
he's
down
messed up.
hills. So what was the cause of specifically
He's on the wrong
balls
team.
and only balls rolling down hills naturally? Because that's what you will
Well,
be experimentally validating. if it's an
Is it
experiment.
just me, or do we have a
Well, what he
fascinating
did was
word
he
called
measured
lately?
the speed with which they rolled down the
Yeah,
hill,
that's what the whole topic's
and
about, dude.
that speed was invariant.
So the speed was the cause. Is that what you're saying?
Speed was the phenomenon that he observed, and he observed that
Another
it
phenomenon.
didn't matter what the material
So you can't have two
construction was.
phenomena. You only study one thing at a time, Brenda. So you're either studying why they roll down the hill, or you're studying what the speed of things rolling down hills naturally. So all you're going to establish
it's
is the
just the
cause of the speed of things rolling down naturally, or why they roll down. One or the other. It's not two. You seem very confused
It's
about
just
what.
the speed.
You don't need to chant through me, Brenda. Yeah, that's fine. You can be corrected without a constant, incessant chanting through the top of you being corrected. I'm correcting you because you seem to be under the misapprehension that you can have two phenomena being studied simultaneously: speed of things rolling and why they roll. And I'm correcting your dumbass, saying, no, that's not what you do.
The speed
Brenda.
is the phenomenon. The hypothesis that you form at the end of it is that speed must be due to a universal force.
Why would you do
That's
that?
not an if statement. That's not an if statement. Wait, this ain't no supposition. You joshing. You joshing my taters, ain't you?
This is not a viable
I don't
hypothesis.
understand
This is not a viable scientific prediction. It cannot be formulated into an if and then statement with a null. It's not science. It's garbage.
No, it's an observation. It's an observation of gravity. It's an observation of the
Oh,
fact.
so it's begging the
that
question.
Regardless,
Begging the
excuse me, I
question
was
then.
talking.
So begging the question.
No, that's not what begging the question means.
When you
don't
say
know what that means.
observation of gravity, you're observing the thing that you're trying to prove. So you've already
No, it's
decided.
not trying to prove.
You've
It's not
already.
trying to prove
I'm
gravity,
explaining your
Nathan.
fallacy to you. You objected, so I'm having to explain it to you because you don't understand yourself how assuming the very thing you're trying to prove, that would be gravity, by saying we're observing gravity, is very much circular reasoning, Brenda. Now, you might not
Yeah, it's not trying to
like
prove
my
gravity.
interjection, and you may feel the need to chant through the top of it again as I have to correct you. You're just ignorant. You're just using fallacious reasoning. If your attempt to prove gravity starts with we're observing gravity, it's circular reasoning, aka begging the question. Now, I will tell you this because your use of fallacious reasoning irks me. It irritates me.
Right. So it's not trying to prove gravity. It's observing the phenomenon of gravity. And you don't know.
So
what
not
begging
just the
question means.
circular reasoning I've just gone through. I'll just rinse and repeat the exact same circular reasoning again after I've very exasperatedly pointed it out to you. I don't want to hear Brenda go through her circular reasoning again. Can we not shut her up? She's failed on her ass and then completely ignored me.
Right. So it's not trying to prove gravity. It's making an observation about gravity.
Yeah, that's the third time she's rinsed and repeat her circular logic.
It's not circular.
Yeah, that's very much a circular logic. The whole point was the phenomenon is gravity, and we're going to see the cause of it.
You know, we're going to
So
use
we
that
just-
phenomena that we saw to create the force of nothing.
Yeah. Well, you're trying to
Yeah,
determine what
that's-
causes the gravity. So we're going to look
Right,
at gravity.
yeah. It must be the gravity that causes the gravity, silly.
God.
It's logical,
Well,
I swear.
we got 15 minutes, and guys, I suggest you guys go over and watch this particular stream. It was actually good. I liked it. If you like a good debate, and some people don't like them, some people do. You know.
Oh, I like his show. His show's good. I do like it. He's hard on
So,
some people, but yeah, he's pretty cool.
Depends. He's got a little temper, but I mean, it is his show,
Well,
and he
like I
has his
said,
platform.
yeah, like I said, we all have our imperfections, so who am I to judge, right?
Yeah,
I
but
talked to-
after a while of being in this debate long enough, I can see how frustrating it gets and why you would lose your temper.
You would think it would be
so
the
easy.
opposite, though. You would think
Yeah,
it would be
it's
the
not-
opposite. You think you just get better and better at just dumping and getting off the show. I mean, if they're just going to troll and you know they're a troll, then I wouldn't waste my time. Like I said, if I had the button, if I was the one pushing the button, yeah, I would just. As soon as you started showing signs, I'd just kick you. That would just be it. It's easier that way. It might make me look bad because I'm kicking everybody, but I mean, if Come on,
Yeah.
be genuine or don't come on the show.
Yeah,
That's
if you
all
don't
I'm
have anything to say, don't say it.
Yeah, or if you just want to sit on the panel and listen and be a part of it, and that's fine. But don't, there's no reason for you to come in and start arguing if you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I was
Or if you don't have
thinking
it.
about playing the redo of the 100% proof of the firmament. It's 10 minutes before PJ starts.
Okay.
You
Sure,
want
why
to listen to that? You probably haven't heard it, so I don't
No,
know
I
if you've
probably
seen it or not.
No, I probably haven't heard all.
I hope everybody else is happy with it.
Raise your hand if you don't.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Flat Water, Flat Earth. This is The Firmament is Real. I actually put this proof in several of my first videos, but a lot of people didn't really catch that was what was in there. So it was also in my Flat Earth Fully Explained video. First, we'll start with the information about high altitude lightning.
And one more thing, guys, all the links are in his description for any of the documents he has. You can look into them for yourself. That's what I like about Flat Water. He actually documents his work.
And how scientists admit it's the very top of the atmosphere created on the other side of the dome. And it's in a National Geographic piece. I'll link it here. Every time I've used any clips from that piece, they have heavily copyrighted it and removed it from YouTube, so I can't post.
I don't know why
that documentary I've seen.
These guys,
Yes, I have.
Earth Bros, made a piece about it, and then they.
This is right up Sea Lightning's alley right here.
You can see it with my Heaven and Earth, and also the Flat Earth Fully Explained video, which had the actual
It's also Uncle
full
Skin's
National Geographic piece.
alley
in it,
too. Uncle Skin
where they
likes all this
discuss
kind of
that it's the
photographs and
top
things.
of the atmosphere, and that they can't get to the other
It
side of
is
it to
on
confirm
the,
the findings. So it's another admission that we can't make
the
it
stream
escape.
itself. I think it's lagging. Like the thanks guys for
After that,
subscribing.
though,
Stream
there's
it's
this
still got
amazing
Nathan on there.
Oh, whoa.
I know. It's
That's
strange.
pretty cool. I don't remember that part of it. I must not have watched it very carefully. I watch so many videos. It's hard to remember them. I get them mixed up anymore.
Yeah, that's over the
It's
North
like, which
Sea.
video
See
was
that?
it? You always ask me, did you see this video or that video? And I always say no. And then once you start watching it, I was like, yeah, I've seen it. I'm sorry, I did see it.
Yeah, have you seen this one? Though?
I've seen the documentary. Maybe not this particular version of it, but yeah, I've seen it. Someone else do this little display of all these little sprites and
Yeah, what he's
how you
demonstrating.
can see that you can see the actual shadow of them on the dome and stuff. Yeah,
you'll see these CIA documents that were approved for release in 2000.
It is.
And you'll see that this is actually the
I've got this document.
Scientific Council of the Institute of Physics of the Earth.
He's got more than that too. He'll
USSR,
present them.
and that they argued for these findings at the
There's a lot of good evidence,
geophysical year. It's about light scattering in the high atmosphere. So some properties of atmospheric indicatrices of light scattering by Payaskovskaya, the Astrophysics Institute, the Academy of Sciences in Kazakhstan, the USSR. This is done in 1957, but it shows you that even at that time, the Russians knew there was a firmament. Determining the coefficient of atmospheric transparency from sky brightness. And you'll see they use several methods to actually determine differences of light in the sky to identify the firmament. So again, by the same author, USSR Geophysics, published in '62, calculation of light dispersion of the higher orders.
What's it?
A proof is presented that the light dispersion of the higher orders can be computed from the data obtained in plain direct observations. The brightness of the sky considering all forms of light scattering, various methods for determining the atmospheric transparency coefficient, and all of these documents as well reference the non-rotating flat Earth, or a flat non-rotating Earth. And I'll put links to them as well. Study of the dispersion of light in the Earth's atmosphere. Joint Council of Institute of Physics of the Earth, the Institute of Physics of the Atmosphere, and Institute of Applied Geophysics, the Academy of Sciences in the USSR. You can't get high in the Earth's atmosphere, 1957, from Moscow. 2,500 copies printed, sponsored by the Academy of the USSR, the Scientific Academy. The purpose: the book represents advances made in the study of light scattering in terrestrial atmosphere and is directed to the specialist in the field. This book is a theoretical study of the optics of terrestrial atmosphere and is supplemented with observations of the brightness of the daylight sky, conditioned by molecular and aerosol scattering of light. A new method is proposed for the derivation of the scattering indicatrix from the calculation of multiple light scattering in the atmosphere. It shows all of the people involved, all the scientists, and different heights. Introduction, Chapter 1, Fundamental Concepts and Definitions, Weakening of Light in the Atmosphere, Scattering of Light in the Atmosphere, the apparatus and methodology of the observations, a daylight sky photometer, an Oriole.
And Ryan, this is the kind of stuff I want to like show most of the newbies that are coming in, because they don't get to see this a lot.
Right.
You know
A lot of this stuff isn't around anymore. Yeah, it's all hidden in our files.
It is boring. Don't get me wrong, but
it is. Yeah, it can be
they
boring.
always
But
scream we don't have any proof or science or any
I
evidence.
know they
to go
do. That's why
along
we
with
put it.
our
Yeah, that's
claims
why
and
we
stuff,
make
but
little.
when we actually pull out definitions and actual measurements and stuff, they don't look into it very well. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they don't necessarily believe us, and I guess
effective
that's a good enough reason not to look into it. I guess. But I don't
Brightness of the
understand
blue
that.
daylight sky formula for the brightness of the blue sky with consideration
really
of first
quiet.
order scattering and certain deductions from this formula. Observed brightness of the blue daylight sky formula for sky brightness was consideration of multiple light scattering and collation of the formula with observational data. Indicatrix of light scattering in the atmosphere, calculation of multiple light scattering, criterion for the stability of optical properties of the atmosphere, methods for determining the atmospheric clearness coefficient from the blue sky brightness. So they're able to determine the brightness put off by different objects in the sky. And they'll actually use the sun to measure against, and they'll use brightness of the sky to measure against, and also brightness of the reflection off of the dome itself, the firmament of the sky. Dissertations defended in the Scientific Council of the Institute of Physics of the Earth, Institute of Physics of the Atmosphere, and Institute of Applied Geophysics, the USSR, during the first semester of 1957. Further, it says, in the dissertation, the design was briefly reviewed by 16 various models of oscillographs for experimental geophysical investigations which were developed by the author or under his direction. Some of these are series manufactures and apply also in other branches of science and engineering. Particular attention is devoted to the design of the individual assemblies of the oscillographs. Standard assemblies include type something galvanometers mounted into blocks with permanent magnets.
You can see it.
Time marker.
I know. I'm just laughing because it sounded like he's like there was something in there. He just read something.
All the oscillographs developed by the Institute of Physics of the Earth, which is pioneering in this field.
It's easy to read it and make it, and it sounds like it makes sense, even though you really don't. It doesn't make sense at all.
With high speeds of the film.
You have to understand what each of those are.
Long duration of occasional processes at relatively low speeds of the film.
I'm reading into them, and I know what they're doing to get these measurements.
Within a wide range of speeds of the film strip.
And
oscillographs
they're using
recording long duration and occasional
straight up
earthquakes,
oscilloscope measurements for their speeds
1 to 2
and the
centimeters
heights
per second for moving.
See how far the light actually goes.
Mechanisms proved advantageous in this case, and
Which is basically the same thing they use in an
airplane.
airplane.
Regulators.
So
The presence of spring-operated mechanisms and galvanometers grouped into a block with a common permanent magnet enabled reducing parasitic influences on the metering circuit, and also reducing to a minimum
latency
power consumption of the oscillograph, which is particularly important.
And there's servo
difficult
spinning.
Universal portable oscillographs.
It's kind of like one of those
amongst oscillographs produced
pendulum things, right?
Small and light, and therefore convenient for expedition.
It's similar to that. When it comes to that, it has a motor and it keeps it moving, right?
Transformed into an electric current or voltage.
That way they can get it.
Are among the best produced in the
But I have heard that over a long period, like a long flight, that the gyro does eventually get slightly off, and you're supposed to recorrect it, like every so many miles or whatever. I have heard that. I don't know if that's only small planes or not.
Yeah, well, they use the magnets to quail it, you might say.
Yeah, and to keep it from leaning on its own, right? Because it does have a tendency when it's spinning, if it's not perfectly balanced, to like
practical use.
Turn, right?
Calculations, nomograms, data tables,
Doesn't take much.
examples are included. A fundamentally new metering system was created, a high-frequency frame galvanometer with a continuous extension, pull, and a method of calculation.
I would like to have some of these toys myself.
Giving results of experimental investigations which indicate the possibility of achieving a sensitivity exceeding that of loops. The conditions
Well,
of
we're running a little bit
liquid
behind.
of frame galvanometers were investigated.
We still have.
The calculation is presented of the kinematics of oscillographs and
We have,
film adapters. And the phenomenon
it's
of
saying
shock
17 minutes.
switching on film
The
adapters
video
designed
said
for high
10
speed.
minutes on it.
Formulae are derived which permit calculation of the impact force and of the time.
Sometimes I think they do that just to
necessary
get you
reaching
to
a
watch
given
it.
A new simple, compact, and
And then once you're in, you don't
reliable
want to
box
leave, right?
and the method of its calculation evolved.
Well, once
Other
you're learning
mechanisms
something,
were
you might
also
want to.
considered,
I
intended for
suggest
step and
everybody
speed changes and used for oscillographs. A method
hop
of
over
calculation
and
is
subscribe to him just for the heck of it if you want to dig into the subject longer. But we're running short on time, and PJ's about to start.
Yep.
Yeah. And thanks, guys, for subscribing. And I'll be working on the studio side of this and get it all refined. And Ryan's going to get his computer up and running, and we'll have more content to share with you on a regular basis.
I'll be able to share my stuff.
Yeah. Hence the R&R. All right. I'm going to play out Banjo's favorite play out song.
Okay.
Higher Than Air. You ready? You heard this one before, haven't you?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. It's the August Picard one. Because Sea Lightning was mentioned in the Hennessy video they play. You've seen that one, haven't you?
Of course I have. Many times. They still play it on TV all the time.
Weird, ain't it? I don't know.
Have you noticed that certain commercials will do that? They'll play the same commercials every year for years and years. Like the raisins, the California raisins commercials and stuff.
That was popular when I was growing up too. Man, that was a big one. Yeah. And there it is, 10 miles above the earth. Professor Picard and Dr. Kepper, safe and sound.
Wow.
It's off. And this was an actual news clip, I think.
Yeah, it was one of those skits that they do before movies and stuff, like newsreel.
Yeah, that's the way people got news back in the day.
Exactly. Yeah, they just go in the movie and watch the news.
What's happened in the war? Go to the theater.
That's how they get you to watch movies. That's how they got everybody addicted to Hollywood.
True.
Smart.
If I hover over the play button, it just goes. That's for you, Mr. Lightning. There. Yeah.
Of course, none of those videos right there are actual videos. You wouldn't even see that with your
Yeah.
Belgian Swiss physicist August Picard, 1931, first to reach for the stars, was the first to explore the air view stratosphere. A scientist curious to see what was there. An aluminium black fog on the helium balloon, hydrogen with photos and instruments, sailed towards the moon. Rose in just half an hour.
The textual footage, though, I like it.
10 miles up, kept their pressure up a dead heat and cold, but disproving gravity. Wonderful, mystical, beautiful sight. Black line separation of black from blue light. A world run by deceivers, false make-believers, hiding in shadows, stealing our light. Mystical, mystical, fluorescent light. Wonderful, magical, awesome. Yes, stealing our light. Wonderful, legendary light. Supernatural, eternal, up we go. Higher than rainbows, higher than mountains, above you below. Olympus is higher than air, high level horizon.
Oh, sorry. Come on, play.
360 around us, but right round behind us. Any height that
How dare you?
Damn it. Around us, forever, short time pass, intelligently there. You'll never beat us, you'll never defeat us, no more you'll deceive us.
I saw him fool.
Kipper and Picard were the first ever known to reach up there.
Don't mess my fool.
Mystical, wonderful, celestial light. So what was their eternal testimony? What did they report back to humanity? Said it seemed like a flat disk far as eyes can see, with an upturned edge fading into infinity. A mystical, ethereal, celestial sight. A divine creation, a clockwork of life, designed hid by deceivers and false make-believers, still cowering in shadows, still fearing our light. Here we go, higher than Everest, higher than airplanes, above zero, cumulus, higher than air. A level horizon, 360 around us, no motion beneath us, no spinning, no fair. Stars on the firmament, turning all around us to forever, so time as geometrically there. You'll never beat us, you'll never defeat us, forever beneath us. We see through you like air. Mystics of illuminant light, fantastical, magical, we see through you like air. Magical angels of light, beautiful, wonderful, celestial light. The first to see truth when they reach for the stars. Explorers and physicists, Kipper and Picard. Never you'll defeat us, forever beneath us. We see through you like air.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
You watch those nature documentaries on the cable?
Yeah.
You see the one about lions?
Yeah.
Look at this lion. He's the king of the jungle. Huge mane out there. He's laying down under a tree in the middle of Africa. He's so big. He's so hot. He doesn't want to move. Now, the little lion cubs, they start messing with him. Biting his tail, biting his ears. He doesn't do anything. The lioness, she starts messing with him, coming on, making trouble. Still, nothing. Now, the other animals, they notice this. And they start to move in. The jackals, hyenas, barking at him, laughing at him. They nip his toes, they eat the food. It's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and both, until one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is. It's too late to be scared. It's time to kill.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a wonderful little video. I liked it. And thank the Cookie Monster for showing up. Anything you got to say? Any parting words before I end the stream? Oh, he's already gone. Well, good night, ladies and gentlemen. I suggest go over to PJ's channel and watch his stream. And I'm sure he'll have something wonderful planned for everybody. You guys have a good night, and thanks for subscribing to me. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Have a good night, guys.